Right to Be Read Podcast, episode number 134.
You are listening to the Right to Be Read Podcast, and this is your host, Ani Alexander.
Hey there, it's me, Ani Alexander, and you're listening to the Right to Be Read Podcast. As most of you, especially the fiction writers know, November is the National Novel Writing Month. And around 300,000 people are writing their novels right now. Their challenge is to complete 50,000 words in 30 days, which may sound hard, but I think it sounds much harder than it really is. So many of you were reaching out to me asking if I'm doing NaNoWriMo this year or not, so I decided to make a separate episode today letting you know and providing explanations and thoughts about the subject. So, I wrote both of my novels, Highfall and Dream Down, participating in NaNoWriMo, and it was a really, really great experience. And why is that? I think is because there are few elements to it that I think are very important for newbie writers especially. Most of us struggle to finish writing our first novel. And NaNoWriMo adds motivation and encouragement to our writing process. First of all, you have a deadline and target word count. And on top of it, you also have a challenge. So the second thing is that the forums, the NaNoWriMo forums with writers like you who have the same struggles and are excited as you are about their books adds to this emotional support that you will definitely need while writing your book. So that is why I participated in NaNoWriMo 2 years in a row and as a result wrote and self-published my 2 novels. So that was the good part. Now, let me continue by saying that this year, I am not doing NaNoWriMo, and I'm doing something completely different instead. And before you think that I'm contradicting myself, let me explain why. NaNoWriMo is good at making sure that you finish writing your first draft. And as all of us know, the first drafts are very bad. After that, you will need to work on it. The first draft is definitely not what you'd like your readers to see. So I guess what I want to say is that NaNoWriMo is good in making sure that you put out those words and that you complete your first draft. It is also very good in developing your habit of writing every day. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you definitely know how important that is. But NaNoWriMo has absolutely no impact on the quality of your writing. And that's what differentiates the good book from the bad one. So what I did this year instead of NaNoWriMo was enroll in Writers Bootcamp, where I will hopefully learn how to write well. And as a non-English speaker, the challenge for me is bigger than for most of you out there. This is the second month I'm learning at the bootcamp, and I would like to give a big shout out to Randall Andrews, who's putting up with my complicated character and unpolished writing. So, thank you, Randall. The first side effect that I got from being able to differentiate good quality text from the bad one was realizing that what I had written up to now is not written well. It's one thing when you know it as an abstract fact, and it's completely another thing when you have proofs for that. And believe me, that realization was not a very pleasant one. And at some point, it even made me think of not writing anymore. But then I understood that by learning how to write well, I will be able to correct what was not written well up to now, instead of deciding not to write at all. So, why am I doing rewrites and concentrate on the quality of the writing is because if I did my third NaNoWriMo, I would most probably write my third novel in the same manner I did the previous 2 ones and end up with the same results in terms of quality. So what I'm doing now is going through my first novel Highfall and applying what I have learned so far to what I had written back then. Like that, I will learn on my mistakes, make sure I'm aware of the most common ones, and make it easier not to repeat them again in the future. So I guess this was a whole episode that gets down to one conclusion. NaNoWriMo is good, but it is not enough. It's the first step of the process, and there is a lot to come after. So, those of you who have not taken the first step, I strongly encourage you to do so. And don't worry that NaNoWriMo has already started. You can always set your own timeline and make your own challenge. It will still work. And those of you who have already written the first draft of your manuscript, work on the text and make sure that you've done your best and you've worked on the quality. And if you have, then our self-publishing service can help you with all the rest that needs to be done, like editing, book cover, formatting, etc. Simply visit www.publishmybook.today and let us work on your book and save your time so you spend it on writing. So I guess that was all I had for you today. Don't give up and keep writing.